let's talk about what's going to be on the show today. And we're going to start with just a brief update because really there's not a lot of new information coming out. But planning continues for the CrossFit Games. We haven't heard anything definitive as to whether or not they're going to push them back or if they're going to happen. But we're assuming that the scheduled date of September, I think 12th. You're enjoying that coffee, aren't you?
That's good.
Local establishment here in San Jose, right down the street, got a little coffee, and Tommy's just
the coconut
having a love affair with that thing.
The coconut accents the latte in such
yes,
a way.
It does. Oh, it's good, man. Yeah, it's one of my go-tos during the day.
That was like refreshment came up beside your head and went slap.
But anyway, back to the games again. The date of, I think it's the weekend of the 12th, September 12th is the one they're targeting. Nothing new has happened as far as any indications from CrossFit as to whether or not this is going to happen or if they're going to postpone again. But I think there are some encouraging signs in the sports world that suggest there is a good chance that they will be able to pull these off. And I know also you've been checking out things that have been going on with Monterey County Health, because that's where Aromas is located.
Yes, and I would highly encourage anyone that's just curious, athletes in particular, that are looking at looking for data and any things like that. I know a ton of athletes have reached out to me and asked if I thought the games or about the games potentially happening. And Monterey County Health on Twitter provides daily updates into cases and cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, as well as some trending data as well, just to kind of keep people in the know. That's the county where the ranch is zoned. I believe that's ultimately where the event permit is going to have to take place unless they plan on doing some offsite stuff elsewhere, in which case they would look at either San Benito County or Santa Cruz County.
Mm-hmm.
But as of August 4th, there were 4,966 confirmed cases in Monterey. And if you go back to, July 19th, there was 3,228.
Okay.
And then let me write that down. I'm going to do a little back of the napkin math for Sean. 3,228. And then if you go back a full month to July 4th, that's really when you started to see the spike in Monterey County.
And we've talked about why that was the case.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, the holiday, a lot of people travel to Monterey. Mm-hmm. If you didn't hear the episode, basically a quick rundown is Monterey is a tourist destination, particularly with regards to golf. Golf has been one of the things that has been open since the end of April. Mm-hmm. So even during the July 4th holiday with beaches closed, a ton of people came into the county to basically go golfing because they could. So There was still plenty of reason to go in. And then back in July 4th, there was 2,064. So 2,064.
Stand by for math.
So 12, 17. Yeah, you're seeing a slight uptick from the first 15 days to the last 15. Proportionately, though, by percentage, it's actually kind of gone down. So it just kind of depends on what number they're looking at. I do think over the next 10 days, it'll be crucial. I think the first 2 weeks of August, how many they add into that month timeframe to what we mentioned before, till we get to August 14th, I think is a big date that they're looking at. That's 30 days before when they're supposed to start on September 14th. So that could be huge. But like you said, the pro sports examples have been a great example of that.
There are basically, there are three major sports leagues right now here in North America that are competing. One of them, and then another one, the NFL is getting ready to kind of ramp up here. Two of those leagues, the National Basketball Association and the National Hockey League, are using the bubble model. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the NBA is in Florida. They're in Orlando, right? I think at Walt Disney World, the resort. And the NHL, they're in two cities in Canada. The Western Conference, they're playing their qualifying games and round-robin games for the playoffs there in Edmonton. And then the Eastern Conference are playing in Toronto. Major League Baseball, meanwhile, they are not using the bubble method, and they are traveling, and they have had some pretty big setbacks. They've had, the Florida Marlins have, are they the Miami Marlins now?
I think they're Miami.
Yeah, the Miami Marlins have had quite a few positive tests that resulted in the postponement of some of their games and even affected some other teams that had played in that facility. like the Phillies. And then I know the St. Louis Cardinals have had some positive tests as well. So they're trying to work around that. Meanwhile, the National Hockey League, with their bubble model, where they just have teams in one city, they have, I think it was a couple days ago, I heard as I was watching one of the broadcasts, they've administered, I think, 7,000 tests and not one has come back positive. So if you're wondering what model works, it's the bubble model. And that is the model that CrossFit, I believe, is going to follow. And we still don't have the exact details on that. But if you go back and you watch that redacted video that CrossFit put out, Justin Berg is in there saying how they're going to get tested once before they travel. Once that comes back negative, then they can travel. Then once they get into the country, or they get into get into Aromas or prepare to compete at the games, they'll be tested again, and then they'll be put into the bubble. So they're going to make sure that they're not putting anybody with a positive test into the bubble. Now, I don't know how much ramp up time they need to make that happen, but we're getting close to that, I would think.
Yeah, especially if you have the 2-week quarantine period for some places. Like, not that I'm encouraging anybody to find loopholes, but I think there's ways for people to travel into Canada, quarantine for 2 weeks, and then come down from Canada to the United States. I would hope, or there's a possibility that some relaxed travel restrictions are in place and you effectively kind of have to quarantine when you're here in California. One thing that kind of was brought up to me is that I hope that CrossFit in some way, shape, or form is helping out with travel arrangements for these ones, and in the very least, maybe covering hotels or something like that.
I would be shocked if they weren't.
If you're forcing athletes to stay in one place, you better be helping out.
Yeah, because when we were there, we would have our travel booked, and we had a great team that would do it. And I'm assuming that that same team is trying to find a way to block out a bunch of hotel rooms, or completely and totally rent out a hotel, because that's essentially what you're going to have to do, is keep everybody in one location once they get here, and then keep them there the whole time, and then you can let them go. It's not like you can show up, rent an Airbnb, and go to all these different locations. You're going to have to be inside the bubble. Now, I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but that is clearly the model that works.
Yeah. I was looking at a couple of different hotel options. I was trying to figure out where they might stay, as far as what would be a good hotel, a quality hotel in a good enough setting to where it'd be easy to isolate people and keep them relatively within a bubble without having to worry about too many people coming and going. You kind of have free run of the place. It's secluded enough where it's easy access to the ranch would be quick. So you could have shuttles running constantly and not have to worry about, like, if you're coming from Watsonville and you're on that, I can't remember, it's San Juan Road, I think is what it's called, it runs. Yeah. You don't have to worry about a tractor pulling out and then suddenly your whole timelines. And what makes a lot of sense to me is San Juan Bautista.
Yeah.
There's, it's maybe 5 miles up from the ranch in Aromas. It's a quaint little town, and there's a California Mission there, which is beautiful. Mission San Juan Bautista. And I believe there's some hotels there. It's a small enough town where there's not enough to do, where I feel like you could get people back and forth there and keep them there. And you're kind of isolated from everywhere else.
Yeah. It remains to be seen what that's going to look like, but it has to be something like that. You just can't stay wherever you want. And then the bubble is Aromas. Like, the bubble has got to be the ranch and wherever people are staying. And maybe they find a way to house people on site. I don't know. That's another option. I don't know how you would do that, but you have to bring in a bunch of RVs, I'm guessing, trailers, and
heck yeah,
have just go for it. I can attest
to I can attest to RV at the games being awesome.
That is a good point. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a couple of years. And speaking of which, for those of you who probably realize this, we would be done with the games right now.
Yeah.
You were just saying as we were getting set up here, we would be probably coming back from Madison. At least we'd be home.
Yeah.
Right now, and recovering from probably a total of 2 hours of sleep over 3 weeks. So
last night at this time this year, the Tuesday after the games, I got the best night of sleep of the year. It's always the best. The first night that you're home in your own bed after the games is always the best.
Yeah. So that's really the latest with that. I know there's not much new there, but I think that there are some encouraging signs from other leagues that show that if done correctly, you can pull this off. Now, we still have the logistical nightmare of trying to get everybody here and then get them back, and how that's going to happen. But if you can crack that nut, you can. It looks like you're going to be able to have a good competition. And I think I've said before, I think that this community needs it. I think it would be a fantastic way to sort of kick off the new era with Eric in charge, and be a great way to sort of announce what the future holds. And you would have the intention of the entire community, and you could really start things off on the right foot.
Yeah.